call me Mystic Mac because I predict these things.
Alexandre Pantoja takes on Joshua Van this Saturday in the co-main event of UFC 323. This is for the flyweight strap that Pantoja currently holds. Joshua Van getting his first crack at the title, coming off of a very impressive performance over Brandon Royval back in June. I'm a big fan of Joshua Van. I think he's really fun to watch. Very dangerous on the feet, very good boxing, and taking on Pantoja, who I think is up there on the pound-for-pound list. I think that he kind of gets slept on in terms of, the GOAT of the sport, just because he's in the smaller weight class. Not a lot of, support, I would say, or, a lot of eagerness to see the fights in the flyweight division. I think it's a great weight class. I think they're all very talented, but I do think he gets slept on, gets kind of overlooked by other guys. I do think Pantoja is very high level, but Joshua Van, young dude, looking really good in his last few fights. He's on a 5-fight winning streak right now, getting a shot at 24 years old. So I think this is a good opportunity for Joshua Van. I like the odds in this one. Van plus 185. So I think the odds makers are, giving him a shot in this one, not making it, even though granted he hasn't fought the competition that Pantoja hasn't been around the game for a long time, but I do think that Van has a shot in this fight, and I think that the odds makers are reflecting that. He's young, he's active, just tough as nails. And normally I'd let age kind of influence my decision, with him being only 24, not really in his prime yet, everything like that. He's only been a pro for like 4 years, but he's looked great against much more experienced competition like Brandon Royval, Bruno Silva, Cody Durden, Edgar Shirez. Charles Johnson was looking really good in that fight before he got finished. So I think he's got a shot in this fight. I think that he's the better striker. And every fight starts on the feet. I think that Van's going to be the more technical striker. I think he's one of the best boxers in the UFC, regardless of weight class. Up there with the Jack Della Maddalenas of the sport. And Pantoja, he hits hard, he throws big, kind of rushes in recklessly at times. He can be hit. I think he's there to be countered, and I think that he allows himself to be pushed back at times. And he will stand and bang if he gets hit. He will look to get it back. And I can see a fight where, Van's able to defend the takedowns, start having a lot of success on the feet. His takedown defense is 81%, and every fight he's taken down in, he ends up winning. His only loss was to Charles Johnson, and in that fight, Van was having a lot of success, and he was really the only one that got a takedown. He got a takedown on Charles Johnson in that fight. So it isn't out of the realm of possibility for Van to win this fight, and I do honestly think that he has a really good chance of being champion one day. But I just don't think that now's his time. I think that Pantoja is just looking better every time we see him. I think he's fought dangerous strikers in his past 3 fights. He's won all 3 of those fights, 2 of them by finish. Van's never really fought anybody as good as Pantoja, in my opinion. Nobody as battle-tested and as gritty and as well-rounded as Pantoja. Royval is very good, but I don't think he's anywhere near as dangerous as Pantoja is. Van has been choked out on the regional scene. He was TKO'd by Charles Johnson, so he can be hurt. He can be finished. And I just don't think Van will be able to keep it on the feet long enough to get the KO over Pantoja, or keep it on the feet, get the better of the striking for at least 3 rounds to get a decision. Pantoja is tough as nails. He has really good composure, even when he does get hurt, or if he's in bad positions, or if he's tired. He's got a granite chin. He just ate a flying knee early in this fight against Asakura, just kind of walked through it to get his takedown. He was getting cracked by Steve Urseg in their fight. It was just able to eat it and get his takedown. So I think he'll be able to take the shots from Van, just be kind of pushing forward aggressively, eventually get to the clinch and get his takedowns, just make it dirty and not let Van really open up with his boxing. Van's really good with his boxing. He does have power. He put away Bruno Silva, but outside of that, he's hurting guys, winning convincingly, getting a lot of damage, but got the ground and pound over Felipe Buenez. But other than that, just kind of decisioning guys. So I think that he can crack. I think that sometimes he's a little undersized for flyweight, so his power is not translating as well as I'd like for the division. So I think that Pantoja is going to be able to make it gritty. He has really heavy leg kicks, just throws hammers on the feet to crash in for his takedowns, goes forward, kind of pressures guys, walks them down because he knows he has a really good shin, and he really isn't worried about going to the ground if someone shoots in on him. Doesn't have to worry about overthrowing, getting off balance, and ending up on his back, because he's just as dangerous there. And he can crack as well. He hurt Asakura earlier in their fight. He was beating Kai Kara France in his last fight in the stand-up, battering the body with kicks, landing on the calf, ending his combinations with kicks. And Van almost does all of his work with his hands, so Pantoja's not really gonna have to worry about the leg kicks or takedowns, anything outside of the boxing combinations coming his way. And Pantoja, at times he looks like he's slowing down, but he does have really good cardio. I think he's got cardio for days. Even when he is slowing down towards the end of these 5-round fights, he's still the one kind of pushing forward and on the gas. And I just think he has more ways to win in this one. He has some of the best jiu-jitsu there is in MMA, some of the best back takes there are, has some great scrambles, and I think if needed, he can make it scrappy and force exchanges, force scrambles on the ground, and just win positionally, ending up in the better positions, ending up on top, finding the back. But I do think Pantoja is going to be getting this one to the ground and finding the submission, or just controlling enough on the ground, landing damage, winning the scrambles in order to get a decision. Pantoja gets everybody down, and guys who are arguably better wrestlers and better grapplers than Van, he's having success with his takedowns and getting him to the ground at some point in the fight. So we really haven't seen Van have to really work on the ground that much, and with Pantoja, you know, I know that we're going to find out, and I just think that Pantoja is going to be light years ahead of Van when it goes to the ground. He was able to get Kai Kara-France down 3 times, Asakura down 3 times, got Urseg down 9 times, Royval 8 times, Moreno 6 times. Like, these guys are very talented grapplers, jiu-jitsu black belts, high-level wrestlers. In Urseg out of Australia, Moreno's always had really good grappling. And just some of the best and most well-rounded flyweights are eventually getting taken down by Pantoja. You look back at Van's career, Ray Saruya, Bruno Silva, Felipe Benes, like, these guys were all able to get Van down, and I think that Pantoja is much more high level on the ground than those guys. So I think that Pantoja has the 5-round championship experience. He's been in or trained for 5-round fights for, I think it's 5 times now. And Joshua Van, this will be his first 5-rounder, not just a main event to kind of get into title contention. This will be his first 5-rounder for a title at the same time. So I'll be rooting for Van. My heart says Van, but my brain says Pantoja, just by how he's looked so far and his experience level. I think that Van does have the skills to be able to hurt Pantoja on the feet, maybe defend takedowns, do enough damage to win rounds, or you might find the KO. You know, Pantoja was rocked pretty badly by Matt Schnell in a fight earlier in his career. So I don't think it's, you know, a crazy thought to think that Van wins this one, but I got to go with Pantoja. I think he's going to eventually just kind of take over with the grappling, get the submission, or win by decision. Thanks.